Warm wishes to everyone. I am Dr. M. Charmaigne, Assistant Professor from the Department of English. I am here to present a poem, The Lotus, about Toru. Learning objectives of the poem: to remember and to understand the Indian English literature and the pride and culture of the Indian society, and to understand the poetical type, especially the sonnet form that is being used by the poet, and to understand the cultural symbol that is being brought out in the form of the lotus flower in order to appraise the fusion of the Eastern and the Western philosophy. Introduction to the poem. Toru Dutt, the period of her duration is 1856 to 1877. She was an Indian Bengali poet and she has written many works in English as well as in French, and later it was translated into other languages also. Her astonishing store of knowledge was brought out through this particular poem, The Lotus. And this lotus, as I already told you, this is in the form of a sonnet, and the sonnet is a poem with 14 lines, and the first 8 lines of the poem will be in the form of octave, and the next 6 lines of the poem will be in the form of sestet. So, the poem begins with the flora coming for a kind of a rival between the flower, lily and rose. So, the poem begins with the flora who is coming for a kind of a judging between the rival between the two flowers, the rose and the lily. They have a kind of a fight between each other to consider who will be the queen of all the flowers. So, the Roman goddesses are being called to have a kind of a judging between both the flowers, and the virginal Roman goddess is Juno, who comes in the part of appraising the lily, and the lily flower, it stands for purity, whereas the rose, it stands for beauty, and Cupid is a Greek goddess of love making, and so they both come into a contact and they have a kind of discussion to consider which flower is the best among them. So, there will be a kind of a quest between the flowers, and finally in order to bring out the kind of the theme of love into it, finally the flora brings a kind of conclusion towards the end of the poem, saying that it takes the color of the rose and the color of the lily and combines it together and forms a new flower called lotus, and it is the symbol of national flower that has been considered in our country in order to bring out the Indian heritage, culture and pride of the Indian society. And finally, the blend of both the lily and the lotus will be considered as a kind of problem that is being attained towards the end, and the resolution is this lotus becomes the flower that is the queen of all the flowers, or the lotus will be considered as the queenliest of all the flowers. So, this poem brings out a kind of classical notion into the flowers and admiring the beauty of the flowers, and the lotus is the national flower symbolizing the Indian culture, and that was been throughout the poem brought out exquisitely by the Indian poet, the Toru Dutt. These are the assessment questions. So, what is the theme of the poem? What does the rose and lily symbolize? What is Juno and Cupid? Mention some kind of poetical devices where the writer has put into lot of poetical devices, similes, images, alliteration and personification. Lot of minute literary devices are being used in the poem, and which flower is to be considered as the queen of all the flowers in the world, and obviously the answer will be the lotus, and that is why it is considered as the national flower. Thank you.